This is Gareth Southgate, and this is the Three Lions podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. Thank you as always for joining me. You are very much welcome along. Either if you're a regular listener or perhaps this is your first time aboard. Hello there. England's most recent games, thankfully, are in the past. The men's seniors, you know. Remember that dreadful Nations League 4 games in 10 days campaign? Yeah, try to put that one to the back of your mind. I thought it was high time we had a slightly relaxed episode, one that may take you back in time. No controversy, just some good old nostalgia. Much like there was the Tedious Games episode, there was the one about being down to 10 men. We had debut goals episode as well, you may remember that. All of those, and of course, plenty of others, can be found at threelionspodcast.com or your podcast provider of choice. Now, this episode has come about after reading one sentence from the book Lost in France. It was the story of England's 1998 World Cup. It was written by Mark Palmer. Now, before I read it to you, let me just explain the context to it. 3 days prior to this, England had just qualified for the 1998 World Cup with a Lions performance away in Rome. You may remember they came away with a 0-0 draw. 3 days later, though, Glenn Hoddle was on the front of practically every newspaper with the headline, Hoddle Divorce Shock. And this is where the inspiration came from. Let me read it to you. The Hoddles had been married for 18 years, having met while they were both still at school. They had 3 children, Zoe, Zara and Jamie, who was only 5 when the separation was announced. In the current shredded wheat advertisement, the Hoddles were depicted as the happiest of happy families, sitting around the breakfast table wearing contented smiles. The ad was immediately pulled. And this was news to me, not something I remembered. So, of course, straight to YouTube and have a dig about. And all of a sudden, I found myself in a rabbit hole of England players and television adverts. I'm sure there are a few that will immediately spring to your mind, and ones that I'll probably miss or have forgotten about. But this is the aim of this episode, and we'll come to that particular advert very soon. But I've decided I'm not going to do this episode on my own, so I've invited Gary from Channel England Football over on YouTube to go through them with me. Gary, hello there.
Hi Russell, how you doing, mate?
I'm very well, thank you. Yourself?
Yeah, good, thank you. Thank you for having me back for this one.
No, more than welcome. Always good to get a familiar face on. First, though, tell me how's the channel going on?
Yeah, very good. Yeah, very good. I mean, I got a lot of views, as I think you got a lot of listens probably from getting hammered by Hungary. I think I had a lot of Hungarian fans flocking to the channel for that one. But yeah, hoping to be more successful moving forward because we're winning games, not because we're losing them. But yeah, no, good. Thank you very much.
Nice one. All good. Well, obviously you can find Gary and Channel England Football. Just go search for it on YouTube. And as I say, we're here to talk about the England adverts and sort of a little walk back in time. But what are your earliest football related adverts that you can remember?
You know what? For me, it's actually not including any England players at all. It was the Nike Olay advert. I don't know if you remember when it was Portugal and Brazil in the tunnel. And it was before the game and they're coming out and then all of a sudden it just descends into this like megging everybody and everyone going Olay and the skills, and it had Ronaldinho, it had a young Ronaldo in it. And And I think the advert changed slightly where the ball went outside the stadium and there were different footballers who picked up the ball. And it was just, I just remember as a kid, I absolutely loved that. It had, it was all glam and skills. And at the end, it ends with the referee, doesn't it, clearing Ronaldinho out to get the game started. So, yeah, that's my earliest one I really remember, if I'm honest, because as a kid, it's the most fun. It wasn't advertising anything boring. I found that brilliant. Really, really good advert that was.
There was another sort of advert, and it may well have been for Nike as well, because I think at the time they were going through a period of putting out sort of good adverts like that. But there was one. Do you remember the one in an airport where they were kicking about in an airport? It must have been, I want to say, 98, sort of prior to the 98 World Cup. There was like Ronaldo and probably, I don't know, maybe Beckham there, but they were kicking the ball through like the X-ray machine and going through.
Yes, I do remember that now. I completely forgot about that one, but yeah, I do remember. Yes, yeah. Oh, I'm going to have to go back and watch that one again now as well. Yeah,
I got a feeling that had a real sort of samba music beat to that one. I think it was of the time. Yeah.
Well, I think Nike went through a whole range then, because I also remember they did. I think it was all about skills, and they did the similar one with golf. And I think when Tiger Woods was like juggling the golf ball with his club and then hit. So yeah, I think they went through a phase. I mean, the one I'm talking about was in 2004, I think. So if that one's a little bit earlier, they might have been in the late 90s, early 90s, where they went through all this, skills phase and adverts, if you like. But it worked because we remember them all.
Yeah, well, indeed, the main principle of advertising is for us to remember them. But I mean, coming right up to date, we don't have adverts like that on the TV now so much, do we? Does companies like that invest in sort of advertising like that?
I mean, when I think of TV advert, I mean, the problem is, Russell, is do most people watch TV now? It's all Netflix and Amazon, so maybe that's, the target audience is maybe more online now, isn't it, rather than on the telly. But all I can remember now seeing on TV is car adverts and things like that. So yeah, nothing. There's not really many modern ones, are there?
No, I think you're right. Yeah, I can't think of any immediately off the top of my head. But anyway, I mean, I've been through the internet basically, and I found a few adverts that feature England players, and all will become apparent as we go through and have a chat about them. And obviously, just there, we're talking, are there any adverts now? And we've kind of established that there aren't so many as there were. But back at I don't even know when TV really began, really. But and I haven't even got a date for this one, but I think it is prior to the 66 World Cup. It's certainly the early 60s. Bobby Moore featured in an advert which was basically titled "Look In at the Local." And I'm going to play it for you now. And this is how we're kind of going to do this episode. We'll play the advert, and then me and you will have just a little chat about them and work our way through up to as far as we can modern day wise.
Tina's not the best dart player in the world, but she enjoys the game while she's waiting for me. After a match, we often meet our wives for a quiet drink in the local. It's a nice friendly place. Tina reckons I've rigged the darts. It's not true. Anyway, it's great to get together for an evening out.
Like Mr. and Mrs. Bobby Moore, looking at the local.
Back in the 60s, Bobby Moore was involved in a black and white advert basically promoting the pub.
Yeah, I think straight away is, imagine that now, like a professional footballer promoting a night out, basically. Go down to your local. But yeah, it's obviously it's proper of its time, isn't it? The opening scene of his wife completely missing the dartboard, I think it's
very stereotypical, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And I think he just flippantly throws a dart and it's the bullseye, doesn't it, or something like that?
Yeah.
So yeah, he walks in, doesn't he, like he owns the place. And they've all got obviously the dress quite differently to the way we would now if we went to the pub.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an odd one, really odd one.
Very strange. I mean, I think it's Martin Peters with him, sort of standing behind him. He's come in. I don't know what the concept is, whether they've just been at a game, and Martin Peters has come in after him. Perhaps it's the West Ham time. But probably the East End of London. Nice friendly places back then. I'm thinking the craze.
Yeah. Well, obviously you won't get a pub like that now. No one goes down dressed formally, and let's all go and have a nice quiet pint down at the it's not very much like that anymore. But it's unless it's trying to change the perception of pubs back then, like you said, it might have been an attempt at that. But it's obviously the same as stuff now where they say shop local, but they mean now for fruit and veg, not for your local pint, don't they? Yeah. So
I'm wondering who funded that advert. Was there an organisation called Looking at the Local?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, because it doesn't specifically say and it doesn't specifically state an area, so it's a nationwide advert, isn't it? So yeah, it's a bizarre one, really bizarre one.
Yeah. Well, there you go. That's a good place to start. Back in the 60s, Bobby Moore promoting the pub and a pint. I'm trying to think who could if they were to pitch that one here in 2022, who would be a good player to say, yeah, I know who could do that one. I don't know.
Yeah, they could go down. Yeah, I was going to say, yeah. But it would be a different pub, probably, wouldn't it? It's definitely a different style.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on. Strangely, I couldn't find a great deal between the 1960s, nothing for the 70s, nothing for the 80s, until we came to the early 1990s, which I remember this one. I love this, really. It's so... I don't know, of its time as well. John Barnes advertising Lucozade. Do you remember this one?
I was only about 4 at the time, so for me this is still a little bit early. But when I did look at it, it did remind me a little bit of. I have seen it before, but I'm not familiar with it now.
After 90 minutes of sheer hell, you're gonna get thirsty. This is isotonic Lucozade Sport. It gets to your thirst fast. Isotonic means it's in balance with your body fluids.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one.
So there we go. Let's just explain it. John Barnes, who would have been playing for Liverpool at the time. He walks into a changing room. He's wearing the England white home shirt from 1990. He's dripping with sweat. Camera cuts, and all of a sudden he's got his shirt off, and he makes his way to the conveniently placed Lucozade machine in the changing room. This is like one of the old school ones where you have to put I don't even know, probably 50 pence back in the day.
Yeah.
Put it in and hit one of those big plastic buttons, and the can drops to the bottom if you're lucky, and you take it out and undo it from there. Go on, what are your thoughts?
Well, I've just put Top Gun vibes down. It's like a Top Gun locker room scene. Like it's just like he's coming in like proper smooth. He's obviously in good shape. It's like a mix between Top Gun and Terminator. Like, and when he presses for the can, he almost like pushes his fist through the machine, doesn't it? Like, and the can drops out like it's dropped from like 6 foot or something. But yeah, it's really like really 90s, really cold, really cool, and yeah, just proper like action hero style. That really stood out. I wrote Top Gun down instantly, but I think Top Gun was like 6 years before this, so. It must have been a thing that extended throughout the 80s and 90s.
Could well have been, yeah. So John Barnes, should he have been wearing a pair of, Ray-Ban aviators or whatever they are?
Yeah. He just reminded, and the only reason why I've got Top Gun on my mind, because obviously I've just been to see the new film, but it's like, with the shirt off, sweating, lent back after he's done something cool and amazing or something, and then he just casually kicks the can into the bin, doesn't he, at the end? So
that's right.
Yeah, it's just smooth, very smooth and very like 90s action hero style.
He chugs it down. He like sort of literally, I don't know, drinks the can.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like half a second.
Yeah. And then there's like these weird sort of blue computer generated sort of pixels that sweep across his chest, which I assume is all representing the isotonic fluid that's gone into his body.
I can imagine a load of geezers back in the day to be like, yeah, I need to go and get myself some Lucozade.
I mean, Lucozade still is you see it on the touchline all around every game, so it's still in the game, as it were.
Do you still get it in a can? Is it still a can, or do they only do it in the bottles now?
Oh, good question. I don't think I've seen a can of Lucozade in.
Yeah. I don't think they do them.
Yeah, I mean, right at the end, there's a green sort of Lucozade can as well. I don't know what that one was.
The EU probably banned that. God knows what it had in it.
Yeah. But as you say, like at the very end, he sort of drop kicks it into the mesh bin. Doesn't miss. Of course, he doesn't miss.
No. Yeah. It is quality, and John Barnes, he pulls it off. Fair play to him. He does pull it off. He's in good shape, and he pulls it off.
Perhaps he could have rapped it somehow, like he did with the New Order England song back in 1990. Could he have got a little rap in there?
Yeah, maybe. Well, he is the cool guy, isn't it? Early 90s, he was the cool England guy.
He was, wasn't he? Yeah, top one that. Yeah, obviously I'll link to all of these adverts and you'll be able to watch them for yourselves. We'll do it on the Three Lions podcast Twitter. Let's move on a couple of years. 1994. This one, it's a little bit cheesy, but I really like this, and it's kind of heartwarming to me. This is the Yellow Pages advert from 1994, features Bobby Robson, Graham Taylor and Terry Venables. Let's have a listen to this one.
Okay, I'll leave it up to you. It's a great idea, and we'll settle up later.
Cheers, Bob. Look after yourself.
Clara's Cakes.
Hello, I wonder if you can help me.
Yes, we could do that. Fine. What colour would you like the tracksuit? Orange?
Do I not like orange?
Pardon?
Ah, it's just a joke, love. Blue, I think. I see here it says you deliver.
Oh, that's nice. Good luck from Bobby and Graham.
Now, I'd not seen this one. I'll be completely honest. I had not seen this one till you sent it me, and I love it. I absolutely love it, because I thought instantly this would be almost the same as if Hodgson, Allardyce and Southgate did an advert together now. And that would be absolutely brilliant if they did. And like made a joke about basically their time in charge of England. I think that, so it instantly made me smile as soon as I saw it.
It really does sort of take me back. And I think it's the music. It's just that little sort of looping piano, which is, it's just sweet, really. It starts with Bobby Robson and Graham Taylor on the phone to each other, obviously both former England managers. Graham Taylor finds Clara's Cakes in the Yellow Pages. Obviously, it's an advert for the Yellow Pages. Back in the day when the Yellow Pages was a real thick, proper book that they used to try and...
Basically the internet. The internet of its day.
The internet for your area, basically, wasn't it? I mean, how they used to squeeze them through your letterbox, I've no idea. But so they're talking to each other, and they've found a cake company with a premise that they're going to send a cake to Terry Venables, who's just been appointed manager back in 1994. And considering when this advert came out, Graham Taylor actually looks quite fresh-faced, considering what he'd been through with not qualifying for the World Cup and being called a turnip and all that sort of thing. So it's nice to see him smiling.
Yeah, it's I think because he knows he's getting the last laugh with this advert almost, because he's literally saying, good luck with that job, isn't it?
Yeah.
Essentially, he's like, you've got no chance. I wrote down instantly as well, like it reminded me of like Mrs. Bouquet, like keeping up appearances.
Oh yeah,
like that sort of vibe. They're embracing their old age. They've all got like the sweaters on, and they're all like gently relaxing in the home, and it's just so brilliant, because you're struggling to find where it's going as well as you're watching it. You think, where's this headed to? So it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and little things like the telephones there. They're the old telephones that are on a coiled wire as well. You have to put up to your ear.
The one thing though that did stand out for me, and this will be something for my generation, is that the cake at the end obviously has the Union Jack on it.
Yeah,
and not a St. George's cross. Now, I remember looking back at videos, because I think it was really Euro '96, wasn't it, when that started to change?
Yeah.
But it wasn't too long ago that I wasn't fully aware of that. I wasn't fully aware that the Union Jack was used quite a lot during England games, and the fact that the Union Jack's on the lion at the end, that wouldn't register, I don't think, with a lot of England supporters now, particularly under 30, for example. They'd be like, why's the Union Jack there? So, yeah, I thought that was quite weird to see, actually.
Yeah, no, good spot on that one. Yeah, I remember sort of, especially Italia 90, there were a lot of Union Jacks in the stands then. There weren't so many sort of St. George's crosses being waved around. But as you say, back in 96 when the Euros came, there was sort of this move towards using the St. George's cross in the crowd, and supporters beginning to take that rather than the Union Jack, Union flag, whatever people want to call it. But there was one other thing. There was the subtle, when the cake maker says, what colour would you like it? Orange. The subtle, yes. Do I not like orange reference by Taylor. It's just not taking himself too seriously, which I thought was great.
No, and it's brilliant as well, because it is completely contrasting the personalities they present on the touchline, isn't it? They're very much, it's not calm, relaxing, and it's very much, screaming at the referee and like getting, trying to get the result obviously we need. And it's that contrast, I think, that's really, really works well. And there's a few of those actually in this list where they play the opposite of themselves, if you like.
Yeah, it's Bobby Robson, Graham Taylor, both sadly missed.
Yeah.
Let's move on. 1996. Obviously, we've just spoken about Euro 96 there. This advert came out shortly afterwards, and it's Pizza Hut, and they basically, I don't know, they must have sat around a table after the penalty shootout against Germany and thought, right, how can we make an advert out of this?
Can I just say, before we look at this is, I think, the harshest advert I have ever seen. And everyone will know when we get to it, but I think it's so harsh on a particular, on a certain England manager now, should we say?
Go on, let's have a listen to this one. It's Stuart Pearce, Chris Waddle, and Gareth Southgate advertising Pizza Hut.
Miss, Pizza Hut pan pizzas, unless I'm mistaken. Thank you, Miss. Come on, Gareth, it only took me 6 years to get over it. Have some pan pizza.
Pan pizza from Pizza Hut. A light, fluffy base with a crispy crust smothered with generous toppings.
Thanks a lot, boys. I feel much better now.
Ooh, this time he's at the post.
Pizza Hut pan pizza. It always hits the spot.
I think that is so... I mean, it's like, literally, he's like the bully boy, isn't it? I mean, Southgate is just... I don't know why would he agree to that after the heartache of 96? I just think, I know what'll help me. Make myself look an idiot even more on an advert.
I'm wondering who sold the idea to him and to Pearce and to Waddle as well. How did it? I wonder how it all came about.
I mean, if this was in 1996, like you said, obviously the tournament's in the summer, you are looking. This has been recorded only a couple of months after that penalty miss. So, I mean, fair play to him, fair play that he did the advert. But Jesus, I just feel like it's kicking him when he's down.
Yeah. Well, it starts with Pearce and Waddle calling Miss to the waitress, which thinking about it seems a little bit odd in itself. You wouldn't, if I'm in Pizza Hut and I want the attention of the waitress, I certainly wouldn't be shouting "Miss." I'd just be sort of clicking my fingers, I'd be sort of, catch someone's eye, but I certainly wouldn't be calling out "Miss." But that's the only way they could get this particular gag in, really, isn't it? But they're both.
It's not a very good advert, is it? Really, no. Just on that context, but yeah.
No, but they're both all three of them are sitting around a table. There's Stuart Pearce, Chris Waddle, and there's Gareth Southgate. He's sitting there with a brown paper bag over his head with 2 eye holes cut out. So eventually they do get the pizza delivered to the table, and they all have a nibble on it. And then sort of Southgate is eating this pizza by just sort of keeping his head down and lifting the paper bag up ever so slightly, and just nibbling on his pizza. But once he's finished, all of a sudden he perks up by saying that's sort of perked him right up by eating his pizza.
Takes his paper bag off, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sort of rolls it into a ball, throws it away, and then walks into a wall. It's so horrendous, and obviously that's the next bit into the gag where Stuart Pearce says, "Oh, he's hit the post."
I mean, it's just so cruel. I just think it's so mean. But it's a terrible advert. That's right. It's a shocking advert. But I think this is one of its time, because obviously disregarding the racial abuse that they got, but I can't imagine a Rashford or a Saka or someone like that doing an advert after their Euro final penalty miss similar to that, because let's be honest, Southgate is already probably at the time not very well liked, or very much people are a bit annoyed that he missed the penalty, and then he just puts himself across as the village idiot on the advert, and it's just a bizarre, but it does make it sweeter given the context of history we've got now. You look back now and it makes it much sweeter, because you think, yeah, go on, Gareth, you had the last laugh, mate, there. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, you can't imagine that a player would want to do an advert like that these days, because the money, surely Pizza Hut wouldn't throw enough money at it for the likes of Rashford, Sancho and Saka to say, do you know what, yeah, I'm up for that. But I guess back then Southgate thought, okay, Pizza Hut are offering me X amount of money just to sit there and laugh at myself.
Might as well cash in on my misery. Thought.
Well, yeah. Yeah. The other thing, Chris Waddle doesn't say a word. Yeah, he probably
he might as well not be there. Literally, he's just like a third wheeler, isn't it? One of them blokes. I mean, he comes across terribly, because he's just like one of them blokes who's egging on the person doing like the bullying, isn't it? So he's just like, what's the point of him being there?
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel the need to explain for maybe some listeners who are going, well, I don't understand why Stuart Pearce and Chris Waddle are there anyway. But for those that don't know, and it'd be very much in the minority, obviously they too missed penalty kicks back in 1990. But as you say, it's not the best advert, but a lot of people will remember it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, we come to a year later, and as I said in the introduction, there's the advert that stemmed this whole episode was Glenn Hoddle eating shredded wheat. Should we have a listen to this one?
Yes, mate, yeah.
You know, being the England coach is a bit like being a mum. Loads of difficult decisions to make. And do you ever get a thank you? But when it comes to picking a healthy breakfast, life couldn't be simpler. For me, it can only be shredded wheat. Why? Because it's made from only one thing, wheat, and nothing else. And who wouldn't want to give their team something so pure? Looks like it's the most popular decision I've made all season.
Shredded wheat and bite size. There's only wheat in shredded wheat.
Yeah, this is the one that started this particular episode off. It starts with Glenn Hoddle reading the paper, which has a visible headline of Hoddle's Choice, Moment of Truth as the Nation Waits. So,
so crap.
It's really strange, because it's all got a yellow backdrop, as if like the room they're eating their breakfast in is has all been painted yellow, or it's very strange.
It's like illuminated yellow though. It's not just like it's not like a subtle yellow. It's like the most illuminated yellow.
Well, it's just, shredded wheat yellow.
Yeah. But, we get it. Shredded wheat box is yellow, but Jesus, they go overboard, don't they?
Yeah,
Big style.
I mean, it's not set in anyone's home. There's no sort of door visible or sort of mantelpiece behind anyone. It is just the family sitting round the table, which there was his children, Zoe, Zara, and Jamie.
I think this one, the lot of them, is aged the worst because I think now if this was on, it would be I think a lot of people would be calling it like sexist and stuff, because I think it starts off with Glenn Hoddle saying, about do the mums get thank you for doing the laundry and doing all this lot, and then he's at the head of the table, the family aren't saying a word, and then he's like, oh, it's the best decision I've ever made, like he's deciding what the family eats for breakfast, and it's just like, it just felt like when I was watching it, it's so out of touch. But it's not even, 97, it's not that long ago, really. I know it's 20 years, but it isn't now. And it's just mad. It just really screamed at me though. This is really like of its time, and more so than any other advert I think we've seen so far. Yeah, it's just one of those adverts that are so cheesy and corny and quite Americanized, if you like, where it's just, you can tell they're just reading from a script, the products everywhere. Nothing else to look at, and it's a terrible advert.
Well, I think it was Ray Stubbs was doing the voiceover at the end. Football fans will probably be familiar with the sound of Ray Stubbs. Ray Stubbs is still with us, isn't he? Surely.
You know what? I'm not sure. I don't want to say yes or no in case I get it wrong.
He's got that distinctive voice. Certainly, he's got that distinctive voice. Let's move on. Now, there was a period of time where a particular lager beer company were putting out adverts left, right, and centre with a classic sort of strapline. If Carlsberg did this, it'd be the greatest beer or the greatest whatever in the world. And they got into football advertising or sort of putting their beer alongside football advertising. And I think as well, Carlsberg were a major sponsor of the England team at the time. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm sure they were. I'm sure there was it on the training kit?
Quite possibly.
I got that completely wrong.
Well,
I feel like they were, but I can't. Yeah.
Or certainly around the perimeter, like
around the pitch. Yeah,
around the pitch. Yeah. You'd see Carlsberg there. I don't know. It's not so much these days now. I don't think you see Carlsberg, do you? Down the pitch?
No. Well, is there? No, I don't think there is actually. I was going to think, is there a law against advertising alcohol on certain time periods? I'm not sure, because I know they changed it with cigarettes, didn't they? But I'm not sure. I might be completely wrong there. But and
obviously,
I don't think they are now.
Yeah, they sponsored Liverpool for a period of time.
Yes.
A shirt sponsor. Sponsored Wimbledon in the 98 Cup final. Carlsberg did.
I always find it bizarre when you get alcohol companies or fast food chains sponsor sports teams. I just find it really bizarre. As much as we're going to look at, Carlsberg do make really damn good adverts. It's just really, really bizarre that they do sponsor football teams and they're allowed to, really, because you just think, well, they're completely different worlds.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, this one goes back to 2006, so it would have been the period of time of the Germany World Cup, and it's titled Old Lions.
Chris, we're late, man. Did you get me some brown sauce on?
No. That's my money.
Second bacon,
Who are we playing today?
Who's left?
You know.
Dog and duck, I think.
Dog and duck.
Dog and duck.
I'll mark the dog.
Come on, Peter.
Get them little legs moving. Go on, pedal.
Did you see what Reedy turned up in today?
Okay, lads, everybody listen up. Let's have your attention, please, thanks. I want you to get stuck in right from the off. Bobby, Alan, Chrissy, don't be afraid to pull the trigger, eh? Everybody's got to mark, track and tackle. Particularly you, Bobby, particularly you, Jackie. Stuart, get...
Sorry, Gaff, hang on, I've got to get this one. Hello, darling, yeah.
Who on earth is ringing you at this vital time?
Sorry, it's my mum.
Right, I've said my bit. It's now your turn, eh? So let's stick together. Let's get out and fight. Let's get hold of the ball and play good football. Go on, let's go to win. Good luck.
Another chance, yes. Another chance. Go on.
Wait, round ya. Yes. One on. Yes, one on. Finish. Hit it!
What to do?
Hey, it's a shirt pull.
Well, you must shirt pull.
Can I have your name, please?
John.
No more, please.
That's it!
Well done, lads, well done. Thanks very much. You give us a good game. Well done, son, well done. Don't phone me, I'll phone you, Jackie.
Carlsberg don't do pub teams. But if they did, they'd probably be the best pub team in the world.
I remember this one, and it is a classic, really. It's one of the best, this. Let me sort of say, it starts with Peter Shilton sitting on the edge of his bed, Peter Reid having a cup of coffee, there's Alan Ball going through the washing, trying to find the right socks, Peter Beardsley coming out of the garage on an old racing bike, the ones with the dropped handlebars. There's Chris Waddle in there. There's loads of old players in this advert, even to the point that this advert has even got its own Wikipedia page about it.
I've not been on that. I need to have a look at that. Actually. I know you did say it has.
Yeah, it tells you everything about this advert. So there's Chris Waddle. He's standing at the edge of the road. There's a battered old white Transit that pulls up. Waddle throws his kit bag in the back doors. The van drives off, stops, drives off, stops. The sort of thing that we all do when you're on a mate's road trip, something like that.
Yeah.
Jack Charlton is in charge of driving this van.
Yeah, he's just. I think this is where Carlsberg nail it with all their adverts. They make it so it's just like the everyday person. Anyone who's played amateur football and they're going out with their mates on a Sunday morning, and someone's going around picking them up, or you're trying to find a sock and stuff like that. So it just instantly it's appealing to you. But obviously it's all these superstars, isn't it? And from I think the best thing is they bring quite numerous generations in it as well, don't they? It's not just one set. A lot of the adverts tend to have a group of players from one era, but this one tries to incorporate quite a few. So it appeals to different ages as well, and it's a really good strong advert.
Yeah, there's Terry Butcher in it as well. He's handing out sandwiches in the back of the van. There's Peter Beardsley. I say they pass Peter Beardsley on his bike, and you can just sort of see him sort of pedaling away.
And they taunt him, don't they? Yeah. They wind him up as on the bike. Say, "Come on, pedal, mate."
That's great. It cuts to they eventually all arrive at this sort of ramshackle of a ground, which looks like it's at the side of the M25 or something. There's cars passing it and something, and there's Stuart Pearce there as well in a white shirt that looks like it's gone through the wash with something red in, and Bobby Robson. Bless him. Yes, he's in there as well, managing them, trying to give them a pep talk. And obviously we've seen him in the previous advert, the Yellow Pages one. But I mean, acting perhaps wasn't really for him, bless him.
No, but he seems to have got himself in a few, doesn't he? And some of the more memorable ones. But no, yeah, he's a fan favourite, isn't he? So any advert he's in instantly, don't matter, even if you can't act, everyone just loves it, don't they, that he's there.
I think it's because he is sort of that familiar face, and despite what the press done to him at the time, England supporters, especially now, like look back on him so fondly. That obviously this was recorded. Was it a few years before he sadly passed away? But no, he looked good in it. But let's say this pitch was aside the M25, and he's given them their pep talk, and they all trot out to play this, I don't know, dog and duck 11 or something.
He's just your typical Sunday League pitch, and it, like you said, there's just cars flying by in the background, and the pitch is in no sort of condition really to play football, but they still turn up and put on a good show, don't they? And pretty much, and be quite nonchalant about it. So yeah, we're just there like any other team, but obviously it's a team full of superstars, and there's some good goals in it as well. Actually, they do manage to edit in some quite good finishes within it as well.
Yeah, I've watched it a few times, and I think I see England score 6 goals. Where they obviously don't give a final score out, and Peter Shilton pulls off a good save, which even probably back then he would have been aging a little bit. He probably clouted himself on the floor, might have hurt himself.
I think there's a few that come across in quite good nick considering their age at the time. So yeah, I don't know how they did it unless they were fit, but from what I know, most ex-England footballers don't tend to keep themselves in the best shape, do they?
Especially not back in sort of that period of time.
No.
But the lovely bit at the end, Bobby Robson again, where the game's over, referee's blown for full time, and Bobby Robson says to the opposite manager, "You gave us a great game."
Yeah. And the other manager's like, yeah, it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
And then to top it all off, they're all seen drinking in the pub afterwards, which then ties in the Carlsberg sort of aspect of it. They're all having a pint of cold Carlsberg. Great advert.
Yeah, and that is right into British culture, doesn't it? I mean, when I played Sunday League, it was very much meeting up for the game was the hard bit, getting people out of bed and getting them there, particularly if they'd been on the lash the Saturday night. But then after the game, it was definitely straight to the pub, and whatever Sunday game was on or whatever, you'd all be there watching it. So yeah, it just hits into that core of British football and amateur British football, and I think that's why it works just so well.
Yeah, and that was the start of a period of time where Carlsberg were advertising alongside sort of England and tournaments, and we'll get on to another one in a moment. But before that, we're going to 2010, and I don't really remember this one. And again, it's possibly one that probably wouldn't be allowed now. But it's a Nationwide Bank advert, features Fabio Capello, and also features the Little Britain duo of Andy and Lou.
As England prepares, Nationwide go goose-pimply with pride.
I want to play.
Oh, no, Andy, they're professionals. Excuse me, please, sir. Would you mind signing my friend's shirt? Thank you so much. So, do you follow the football at all? Yes, and are you going to watch the World Cup on TV? You're actually going?
Yes, I hope so.
And a couple of kisses? Couple of kisses?
Couple of
kisses, not for me. I'm not on the shirt.
It's okay.
Well, thank you so much. Lovely to meet you. Look, Andy, he signed your shirt.
Don't like it.
Nationwide, proud sponsors of the England team.
Obviously, the reason they done that, as it said at the end, they're Nationwide proud sponsors of the England team, and this was released shortly before the South Africa 2010 World Cup. Do you remember this one?
You know what? I don't remember it ever being on really. It certainly passed me by. It is quite a good one though. It's quite funny when you look closely, because obviously he pulls up in the wheelchair, doesn't he? And he ends up, I think, taking it round Theo Walcott, nutmegging Jermaine Defoe, and I think the funniest bit is he lobs Peter Crouch, doesn't he, before he bicycle kicks it in the net past David James. So it is actually quite funny from that point of view. I did like it. On the second viewing, I liked it more than the first.
What I never really know which one's which. Which one's Andy and which one's Lou? Which one's the one in the wheelchair?
I'm pretty sure Andy's the one in the wheelchair, but I might be wrong. I'm pretty certain of that.
Okay. I mean, it's clear that Fabio Capello, I don't think he really, either he didn't watch Little Britain at the time or he just didn't get it.
Well, the thing is, as well, is I think from what I remember of Capello's time in charge, probably at that time he didn't really speak English. No. So I think he says a couple of words, doesn't he, and then repeats something that Lou says to him, but you can tell he's just like, he almost looks like, what the hell is going off, even though he's probably been briefed about. I mean, he's just there, isn't it? He doesn't really do much, but yeah, I think Lou goes to him, are you into football much or something like that, which is quite, and Capello's just like, what? And it's just, he looks dazed, doesn't he, Capello, stood there on the touchline.
Yeah, they took Little Britain off the TV a little while back, or off of iPlayer, because obviously they decided that parts of it were inappropriate in these days, which is fair enough. I don't know if they wouldn't be able to make an advert like that now, though, would they?
I don't know. It's an odd one to say, really. I don't know. I suppose they might, because the joke is that he's pretending to be like, he's quite lazy, isn't he, rather than the disability itself. So maybe, but I think I know, looking back at Little Britain, there's a lot of like strong racism isn't there from for the jokes wise. So I think that's probably why they took it out. But yeah, no, it's I mean if that would be taken out now, that's only 12 years ago. It's nothing, isn't it? So it just shows you how quick things change. But no, on the second view, when I realised who he was like taking it around, and the lob on Peter Crouch in particular really did make me chuckle.
It is good, but I just don't remember it really. But one that I do remember, and you pointed, initially I'd forgotten about this, and you pointed me in the direction of this one, and I was like, I can't believe I missed this one. It's another Carlsberg advert. Obviously, we've just had the Old Lions Carlsberg advert. This one is another one by Carlsberg, and it's called Carlsberg Team Talk, as if Carlsberg done Team Talks. Let's have a listen to this one.
He says he knows how good you are. You know how good you are. It's time to prove how good you are. Make no mistake. It's you, 11 men. 11 English men against the rest of the world.
Good luck, son.
A world that can't wait to dump you out and rub your noses in it.
Good luck.
But know this, that shirt you're wearing, your countrymen would give anything to pull it on. Jack knew how to wear it and win, and so can you. Who says you can't conquer all? Who says you can't be a world beater twice? Remember your history. It's gonna take bottle, but if you stand tall, you'll make them regret the day they took on England. So be strong, and do it for your country, for the fans, for Bobby. Enough talk. Time for action. We haven't come here to be tourists. Men of England. It's time to join the Immortals. If Carlsberg did Team Talks.
For me, that is the advert. Every time I watch it, even though it's years old now, it does give me goosebumps. There's so many bits within that commercial that I just absolutely love. It's proper goosebumps for me.
It is. And if Carlsberg done Team Talks, and right at the very beginning, when you've got Stuart Pearce giving you a team talk, if you needed someone to G you up, who
it's just the sound is like what they do with the sound, because it's like obviously it puts you in the first person perspective, and it's like your ears are like it would be if you was listening, if you was like really nervous going out for a game. And it's just all those little subtle things where it just gets you going as soon as right at the start. You're just like, oh well, I'm well up for this, well up for it.
And I don't know how much Carlsberg spent on adverts back then, but I mean, when they did make them, they went in properly. This is a minute and a half, and the one before was like the Old Lions one was like 3 minutes long. So they really had to be good to capture your attention and keep you watching for that length of time.
Yeah, and there's a lot of people in this one, isn't there? That, they've really chucked the money at this, and very much people, not always footballers. I think there's Steve Redgrave in there. Yeah. There's Phil Taylor in there. There's
Cole Fogarty, the old motorcyclist guy. Who's the Jeff Stelling is in there, a young Jeff Stelling.
Yes, and I didn't realise that was him until quite a few years later, because he's the guy that jumps out, doesn't he, with
he's got his chest St. George's.
Yes, he's absolutely brilliant. And when I realised that was him, I love the advert even more, because he just jumps out, doesn't he? He starts screaming at the top of his lungs, and it's, oh my God, it's absolutely brilliant. And like there's little lines like saying, these Englishmen, these 11 Englishmen against the rest of the world, and you just like, and obviously it follows them walking through as they're going out to the match, and they're just passing all these legends of our country, and it's just it's so spine tingling.
Well, you say spine tingling as well when it says "do it for Bobby," and it cuts to like this mural on the wall, and it's just sort of silence, and it's almost like the hairs on the back of your neck go up for a moment. But sort of drumming away in the background as well is a track by Kasabian, and they're featuring it as well, the Leicester band. I know. I've done a bit of digging around, and this advert, it's actually filmed at Millwall at the New Den. It was done by a company called, or sort of advertising company many people may have heard of, Saatchi & Saatchi, who I think are quite big in this field of sort of advertising. But it's a classic advert for all those things, and then right at the very end, go on, just
mate. You talking about where it says it time to join the Immortals, and then there's obviously the lion. It's just that is, I could watch that. I think I tried to years ago, before obviously the internet was as good as what it is now. I tried to freeze that video at the end and screenshot it so I could have it as my phone background, because I couldn't find the image anywhere, and I think I managed to do it at a point, because it's just, oh mate, that image, it needs to be on every person's wall. That image, it is so quality. It is quality.
So let me explain. There's the players are walking from the changing room past all these people who are giving them their own team talk. They can hear the studs on the ground. They come to these set of steps to walk up to onto what you would imagine to be the pitch. And as you look up, there is this lion next to a player in a red England shirt with number 6 on the back, which obviously is perceived to be Bobby Moore. And it's just, this lion sort of just gives a roar, and it's just it's spine tingling.
Yeah, if you it's a test if you're a true England fan. If you watch that and you don't get goosebumps, then you're not an England fan. You are not an England. Yeah. It's that good.
Yeah, absolute classic, that one. Absolute classic. Carlsberg team talk is spine tingling. And we're going to stick with Carlsberg, because 2 years later they've done another one. Obviously, 2012 was the Euros. 2012 Euros was in Poland and Ukraine. And this Carlsberg advert was sort of entitled Fan Academy. And I've got a little bit of an affiliation with this one. Let's have a listen to it, and I'll explain afterwards.
Gentlemen, welcome to the Academy, where some of England's most promising fans learn to be great fans. Just look at these lads here. You have to dig deep to find that extra 10%.
Only 87 minutes to go!
Not everyone's got what it takes.
We need to get through this together. You have to have mental strength now. Get your hand away from your face. Get your eyes on the screen.
It takes speed.
Come on, guys, get a move on. Come on, second half is starting. Let's go, let's go. Get on him! Get on him!
Passion. And a whole lot of heart. But if you've got the right stuff, the rewards are there for the taking.
Giving your all for England. That calls for a Carlsberg.
So, interesting story, this one. I went to the filming of this. True story.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was left on the cutting room floor though after watching it. I remember when it came out on the telly, and I was literally like, my parents knew I'd been, and our girlfriend at the time, she knew I'd been, and we were all like watching it on the telly, and I'm gonna be somewhere. Oh, this bit, I remember them filming this bit. Rubbish.
Oh no, mate.
But I think there was something with the England Supporters Travel Club, where someone on there was looking for England fans to be part of a video. Didn't say who, what, when, what it was going to be for. It was just literally they were filming on over a period of time with anyone available to come down on a particular day. And it was, I seem to remember it was like South London, Wimbledon way. It was in this like massive country house, which you see on the advert. Went down there. I got sort of a lift from the train station to this area, like the filming area. There were loads of people around, all wearing England shirts, but he couldn't work out who was an actual like England fan and who was a actor, as it were.
Right. Yeah.
And it just pulled loads of people in. And I remember seeing sort of Des Lynam around, Stuart Pearce was around. I remember seeing Stuart Pearce up on this balcony of somewhere, but they wouldn't let you get close to them to say hello and that sort of thing. And I remember I went down in an old England shirt at the time. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to wear an old England shirt and I might stand out a bit. So I wore it was the blue one where it had like the three. It was like the third shirt that never got worn. It had like the three lions at an angle. From like 1990 time. And I thought, if I wear that, then I'll stand out, and they might sort of pick me maybe to, I don't know.
Yeah, good thinking.
Play a major part in it.
He's the man. He's the man we need in front and centre.
If only they knew where I was now.
Yeah.
But I do remember on the advert, there's these three lads who are sort of being shown around by Des Lynam. And the guy in the advert, one of the lads, is wearing the red England 66 shirt, and he's got number 10 on the back. And he was a real nice guy. And I remember following him on Twitter for a little while. And I think he was an actor. That he was a football fan, but he was an actor as well. He'd been in a few things. And he was a real nice guy. And I don't know, I never had major sort of communication with him, but I sort of lost contact with him. I can't even remember his name now. But it was just set in this country house, and you could, like, within reason, wander around the parts where they weren't filming in. And it was a case of where sort of Des Lynam is showing these fans around, and you could see different sort of parts of where they're trying to turn people into being an England fan. Stuart Pearce once again is giving a team talk.
Yeah. He's in a lot, isn't he? He's in an awful lot of adverts.
Yeah.
I think looking at it, it's very much, obviously not a direct link to it, but it's all that, you know, British during the war, getting regular people to go to these big country estates where they're doing, you know, a lot of work to gain victory over, whoever against. But it's a few bits stand out for me. The Ian Wright moment where he's asking the two fans to hug each other.
Yeah.
And he just escalates where he ends up just like screaming, and it just makes me laugh every single time because it's ridiculous, but it's brilliant at the same time. And obviously at the end as well, the how it links in with the Carlsberg. It is Carlsberg. Is that the pint obviously is a representation of the World Cup trophy, isn't it? Which is what it's leading up to. But it's and I'd said to you as we were watching it then, I didn't realise it's one of those adverts. The more you watch it, you pick out more and more people. And there's a bit where Ray Mears, someone who I would never expect to be in an England advert for Carlsberg, for example. I was obviously in that room where it's absolutely hammering it down with rain. And he's holding like a weather probe up or something, saying, come on, we still got to support him. And it's just, it's brilliant. He's so British, absolutely brilliant. And it's another one that Carlsberg just pulls out the bag. They do them really well.
Yeah, Carlsberg, they should do more adverts for England.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think we're due one. It's been a while, hasn't it, since they've done one, I think. So
well, I don't know. Are we still associated with them? I don't know.
Well, even so, they can do one, can't they? Yeah. No one would mind.
As you say about like the more you watch it, more little things sort of grab you and you go, oh, I didn't notice that first time round, and oh, look at that bit. There's a tiny little bit that you may miss, and you watch it a few times and that's very clever. There's a little piece where there's this little man, and you only see the back of him. He's mopping the floor. And these, like the three lads at Des Lynam is moving around this country house. And he sort of, Des Lynam looks over and then like moves on. And the three lads look at this guy who's mopping the floor, and they look at each other as if to say, is that? Because the guy who's mopping the floor is wearing a blue and white striped shirt, and he's got sort of black curly hair. You only see his back. He hasn't got a number 10 on his back or anything, but it's clearly depicted to be like Maradona.
I did miss that bit.
It's great.
I love that. I mean, that's quality. That is mopping the floor.
Yeah.
That is cool.
you watch it again and you'll see it. It's very cleverly done. But it also features like Brian Blessed. There's Limpert Christie in there. Helen Chamberlain, back when she was sort of in on everything, obviously it was Soccer AM and all that on Sky. You've mentioned Ian Wright, Ray Mears, Bobby Charlton's in there, Peter Shilton. Yeah, they're obviously all contracted to Carlsberg to they ring them up and say, it's Carlsberg here, we're doing another advert, you're available on so and so day.
But they are good ones to be in, because they just make you so proud to be English, even though some of the things that they depict, even though, were quite the worst stereotypes of England and an English fan, just pint in the hand and all that lot. But it's brilliant. It really does get you up for a tournament. It's just like every time a football tournament comes around and we all have our playlists of songs that we put on, looking sometimes, particularly the one we've just talked about with the team talk, I will go back and watch that. Like just as a tournament's coming up, just to really get into it. I love those adverts. Brilliant. Yeah.
Well, this is our message to Carlsberg. Get yourself a new advert out for Qatar this year.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, that's 2012, and then there was sort of a lull in England-related adverts for a little while until we got to 2019, and as you may have sort of realised so far. They've all been male dominated. Obviously, the women's game back then, in that period of time, for obvious reasons, it was still growing. And then we came to 2019. This one was shortly ahead of the France World Cup in 2019. And once again, it's Lucozade. And this one is a play on Baddiel and Skinner's Football's Coming Home. Let's have a listen to this one.
It's coming home. It's coming. Football's coming home. Everyone seems to know the score.
They're never going to sell it today.
They've said it all before. They just know they're so sure that we don't have the skill in their eyes. Well, we're tired of the lies. Because we all play the 3 lions on a shirt. Same pride, same meaning. And all those years of hurt never stopped us dreaming. So many jokes, so many sneers, all those "well done, girls." Wear you down through the years, but we still see that tackle by Moore. And when Nikita scored, Steffi belting the ball and Nobsy dancing. Football's coming home.
So yeah, there's Lucasade and the Lionesses, a play on Badil and Skinner's Football's Coming Home. And we're recording this prior to the Lionesses being involved in the final of this year's European Championships tournament. They've done exceedingly well to get through to the final, but we don't know the result as yet. Obviously, by the time this is released, we will know. But obviously, we're hoping for a win. But this was recorded back in 2019 when women's football, it was still on the up, and the Lionesses were doing well. They got to the semi-finals of the 2019 World Cup, and I think this is a really good advert. It's quite sort of picking up on those sort of moments where maybe the women's game doesn't get the respect that it deserved back then that it does now.
Yeah, I think it's a really good advert, and it's good using a familiar song that obviously is associated with the male side, the England male team. Sorry, but the bit that stuck out for me in particular was the 50 years of hurt. Obviously, to the women's game, they put it across in a way that means something completely different. I mean, essentially, they were banned ridiculously from playing football officially. So their hurt is a different sort of hurt. They weren't even allowed on the pitch, which is ridiculous, and it picks up, and it's very relevant as you've said for this weekend, because I do it's coming home this Sunday. So I'm adamant it's coming home this Sunday. But it hits you in the right spots, and it does make you think, and it puts a woman's perspective on the game that sometimes I don't think of, because even the goals, they're talking about the tackle by Moore, but instead they're picking out like Nikita Paris's goal and things like that. And for fans of women's football, and I'll be honest with you, I started probably taking an interest in watching games if they was on TV around 2019, about that time, when England did start to reach the semi-finals. And so it came out at the right time, but it's still, I think, very much relevant today. So it does show where we've moved on, but it also still says a little bit, really, there's still some way to go.
Yeah, no, it's a very, very clever advert. Once again, I'll link to this one and you can watch it as well. But Nikita Paris is in it. Steph Houghton as well. She features quite heavily in it, and I think Beth Mead is featured in it as well. Yes. So all those players that are still relevant today. I know it's only 3 years down the line, but it's still an advert that's well worth watching. It's a good one, that, and that kind of brings us up to date, really, because I don't think there's any. Do you know of any more recent ones?
I mean, there's the is it Ramsdale and David Seaman in the Chippy? That one got quite a lot of attention on social media.
That's an interesting one, because Arsenal done sort of these range of videos for local sort of organisations, companies in and around like the Highbury area. But yeah, I know what you mean. There was that one with Ramsdale, and it's very, very clever what Arsenal have done there. I like it. And really good. And then other than that, it's just mainly, I think there's been a few Razor adverts, haven't there, where Sterling and stuff are in, and Jordan Henderson. And then I think the adverts I've seen, I think it was yesterday, there's a big campaign at the minute regarding men's attitude to other men in regards to women playing football and participating in football. I think Jordan Henderson's in it, and I think he's the only one who speaks in it, but there's quite a few prominent England players in it, I believe. I only saw it yesterday. Okay. So it's really, really, really recent. But I'm sure I can send you that, and you can pop it in the link or whatever, so people can have it. But yeah, there's nothing, I wouldn't say there's anything been fun other than, that Chippy one, but it wasn't really mainstream, but nothing really been fun or anything like that in quite a while now, really. It's all
all quite serious. I think it's either making quite a political statement, or I suppose it's down to what they're advertising. Is it likely that England players will advertise alcohol anymore? I don't know. It's maybe that side, that it's what they're advertising maybe means that when they are out there, it's pretty much very serious, or it's very plain product, like a razor, not a lot.
Yeah, Gillette, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess as well, it's like as we said right at the very beginning, that it's perhaps sort of advertising, the way we consume advertising now is done differently, not done like through the telly.
Well, I suppose it's how the players make money, isn't it? It probably was a big avenue for players to earn a lot of money back then, but given the age of social media now and things like that, players can sign their own contracts and do their own advertising on their own social media platforms, or do their own stuff. And and like I said, do the necessary target. I would assume a lot of football adverts would be even now linked to young men. Are young men routinely watching TV anymore? I don't know, but these might be sadly things of the past. But hopefully we'll get there's usually an odd surprise one leading up to a tournament, isn't there? So who knows? There might be one in October time as we go up to the World Cup with I don't know, someone in it, Southgate advertising something or something like that.
Maybe we'll have to wait and see. But there was a couple that we thought, we won't mention those or go through those, but I'll mention them anyway. There was one back in 1999. Alan Shearer was advertising with McDonald's, and of course McDonald's there, despite obviously what they sell and it maybe being not so nutritional for kids these days, or perhaps it is a little bit more nutritional now, but back in 1999 it perhaps wasn't as nutritional as it could have been. He was doing an advert for McDonald's. I'll link to that one. There is of course Gary Lineker and his association with Walker's Crisps. I don't know how many he's done over the years, but it must be a fair few.
A lot.
Yeah,
an awful lot.
There's ones that sort of spring to mind. I think there was one where he'd done an advert with Gaza, and I think they were in a football stadium, like on the terrace, and Gaza was sitting behind Gary Lineker, and he was trying to reach over and nick his crisp from the packet that Lineker was holding. And I think in the end, Lineker cottoned on and crushed Gaza's hand whilst he was trying to get it, and then obviously Gaza starts crying. That one. There was another one where they brought in Bobby Robson and Terry Venables. They were a devil and an angel on Lineker's shoulders. I can't remember any other Lineker advert. There's loads of them, isn't there? I can't remember anything.
To be honest with you, there's none that stand, because they all just seem to fall in. The Venables and Devil and Angel one really stands out for me. That's the one I remember quite well. Yeah, I can't. None others jump to mind. The only one other that jumps to mind, not Gary Lineker, but as an England player, is Ian Wright's Chicken Tonight. Because that is just. I mean, to be honest with you, it's that bad, and the way he talks in it is that shocking that I'm sure at the time when I was watching it, I didn't actually twig it was him. It was like, because it's just so bizarre. But yeah, I definitely encourage people to go and people will remember it as soon as it comes on. People will remember it. But that is a very odd advert.
I have to dig that one. I kind of remember it, but I don't know if I'm remembering it correctly. But yeah, I remember Chicken Tonight. You still get Chicken Tonight, can you?
I think so. I don't think it's as popular as what it was, but I'm sure it's somewhere. But it's his voice, and then he ends up doing this ridiculous chicken dance across the screen while singing Chicken Tonight. What one feels like Chicken Tonight. I'm just thinking, God, yeah, it's a real shocker, that one. But it stands in the mind.
Yeah, well, I'm sure he done all right out of it. And there was another bad one that I found. Sven Goran Eriksson, of course, England manager for a few years between 2001 2001 and 2006, I guess, something like that. He done an advert for Kleenex, of all things. It was all a bit embarrassing, really. And then Kevin Keegan, I think, has been involved in a few adverts as well. There was the famous Honey Monster one. Remember that one where Honey Monster scores a header at Wembley?
Yes, I do remember that. Yeah. I had forgotten about that one. Yeah, you know what, Russell? I bet there's so many. There'll be so many people that will contact you after they saying, "Oh, can you remember this one? Can you remember this one?" But there's been so many. I did forget that one, but yeah, it was a good one. That
I think there was a fun fact. The only animal to score an FA Cup goal or something. It turns out it's the Honey Monster or something. But anyway, I think we've been through a lot of them here. All we've got to do now, as you say, is wait for September, October of this year, and wait for another one. Wait for like Carlsberg to pull their finger out and get us down the pub again, get us back down to our local.
Yeah, so I think definitely. I think someone will do an advert, but it'll be a stupid banking advert or something like that, won't it? I can't think of anything fun, but there'll be some adverts leading up to the World Cup with England players in it. I'm sure of it.
Well, we shall wait and wonder. Gary, it's been blast. Enjoyed that.
Yeah.
As always, you can find yourself on over on YouTube, Channel England Football. Any plans, obviously, in the lead up to the World Cup?
Yeah, well, I think I'm gonna try and get hold of some Iranian fans and an American fan and a Welsh fan. If anyone knows any Welsh like YouTubers or anything like that who supports the Welsh national team, let me know, because I'm gonna try and have a chat with a couple of them. I'll be honest with you, I don't know much about Iran at all, so that's the one I'm really interested in. Yeah. And then I think me and you might have something planned as we lead up. I might do an episode with yourself if you'd kindly join me on there. But
of course.
No, it'll soon come round, won't it? But I can't wait now. I mean, obviously we've got the Nations League as well, haven't we, before that? So
yeah. It's all good, despite what's happened to the back end of last season and those Nations League games. It's still positive time to be an England fan.
Yeah.
Once again, thank you very much for joining me. We'll catch up again soon.
Yep. See you later, mate.
There, enjoyed that. Something a little different. I'll leave it up to you if you've been perhaps influenced by any of the product placements within this episode. Massive thanks to Gary there. Don't forget, you can find him over on YouTube at Channel England Football and also on Twitter at Channel England 1. I'll be back with you very soon with some more England related content. I've got a few lined up ready to go. And likewise, you can follow the podcast on social media. Just search 3 Lions Podcast. Like and subscribe on the likes of Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. It's always appreciated. And likewise, you can get in touch there. Or if you've got an idea for the podcast, I'm open to that. You can email 3lionspodcast@gmail.com. So until the next time, look after yourselves. Take care. Cheers.